It might look like an old guitar plectrum or even a key fob, but this Mesolithic pendant is much more rare and significant. Digital imaging techniques have uncovered engravings on the 11,000-year-old shale jewellery, making it the earliest known art from that era ever found in Britain. Experts believe it may have even been worn by a shaman, someone regarded as having access to and influence in the world of spirits and practice spiritual healing. Incised patterns on weapons and the pendants of women and children, for example, were often used to ward off negative forces or evil eyes through the use of magic. Ancient communities believes that the visible world was full of invisible forces and spirits, and these spirits, which had great power, could be controlled by shamans. The Mesolithic period or Middle Stone Age in Britain dates from just after the end of the Pleistocene or Ice Age, approximately 11,600 years ago, to the beginning of the Neolithic period, about 4,000 years BC. The pendant, uncovered by a research team from the universities of York, Manchester, and Chester, is made from a single piece of shale. It is engraved with lines the researchers believe may represent a tree, a map, a leaf, or even tally marks. The artifact was found in 2015 during excavations at the Starcar site in North Yorkshire and is the only engraved pendant from the era ever found in the whole of Europe. Professor Nicky Milner, of the Department of Archaeology at York, who led the research, said it was incredibly exciting to discover such a rare object. It is unlike anything we have found in Britain from this period. We can only imagine who owned it, how they wore it, and what the engravings actually meant to them. One possibility is that the pendant belonged to a shaman, a person regarded as having access to and influence in the world of spirits and practice spiritual healing. Headdresses made out of red deer antlers found nearby in earlier excavations are thought to have been worn by shamans, said Milner. We can only guess what the engravings mean, but engraved amber pendants found in Denmark have been interpreted as amulets used for spiritual personal protection. The artifact is 0.12 inches, 3 mm, thick and measures 1.22 inches, 31 mm, by 1.38 inches, 35 mm. When it was first uncovered, the lines on the plectrum-shaped pendant were barely visible. The engraved artifact is being termed a pendant because the perforation is not central, implying that it may have been suspended and worn as a necklace. However, other artifacts were also uncovered at the site. These additional perforated shale objects have been defined as beads because the perforations are more or less central, the only exception being on the celtiform bead. To make their discovery, the team at the University of York used light microscopy, reflectance transformation imaging, white light 3D surface scanning, and scanning electron microscopy, SEM, to uncover the engravings. This approach of using multiple scientific and analytical techniques had not been used previously, and it provides a methodology for the examination of similar artifacts in the future, the researchers said. They also carried out analysis to try to establish if the pendant had been on a string or worn, and whether pigments had been used to make the lines more prominent. This exciting find tells us about the art of the first permanent settlers of Britain after the last ice age, said Dr. Chantal Conneller, from the University of Manchester and co-director of the excavations. This was a time when sea level was much lower than today. Groups roamed across Doggerland, land now under the North Sea, and into Britain. The designs on our pendant are similar to those found in southern Scandinavia and other areas bordering the North Sea, showing a close cultural connection between northern European groups at this time. When we study prehistory, we deal with very long periods of time and often focus on very broad issues, Dr. Barry Taylor, from the University of Chester and co-director of the excavations said. But this is something that a person wore, that had significance to them and to the people around them. These sorts of artifacts tell us about people, and, after all, that's what archaeology is all about. The pendant will be on display in York at the Yorkshire Museum from Saturday, February 27 until May 5. The exhibition will also feature other Starcar finds including flints, a rare barbed point used for hunting or fishing, and 11,000-year-old fire lighters. Starcar was originally excavated by Graham Clark in 1954. He did not find similar artifacts during his digs, but he was an expert on the art found in Europe and wrote a comprehensive chapter on the art of the early Mesolithic in his book on the Mesolithic settlement of Northern Europe in 1936. The results have exceeded our expectations and will help rewrite the story of this long and complex, but little understood early prehistoric period, said Duncan Wilson, Chief Executive of Historic England, which contributed to and part funded the excavation and research publication.